So a very good afternoon to everybody, and once again a very warm welcome to our Business Spotlight interview series. My name's Ron Maycock. I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and Business Performance UK, and I'm delighted this afternoon to be joined by Simon Cartwright. Simon, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Ron. Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's great to have you along. Now, Simon is the co-director and one of the founders of Indigo Greens, which is an estate agent over primarily in the York area, but we'll be finding out lots more about Simon and his business as we move forward in a few moments. Before we do that, though, I just really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually are. So we're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our area. They're each on their own journeys, and these interviews help us spotlight their achievements, showcase what they're actually doing, and actually create awareness of that business in our region and the wider part of the UK, and sometimes internationally as well. So it's all done in the name of abundance, and it's based on the fact that the more people that get to know about it, then the better it actually bolsters the economy as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Simon. Simon, do you want to tell me a little bit more about Indigo Greens?
Yeah, so as you already said, we're an estate agent primarily based over in York. So we sell all ranges of properties across the marketplace within the Ring Road predominantly. We do deal with the satellite villages as well. As many people will have no doubt noticed already, we don't wear suits. The whole idea with our approach is that it's a personal service, that actually people will feel comfortable to come in and actually talk to us and ask questions. I've been an estate agent for over 20 years. And so many times you can turn up to appointments when you're wearing a suit, and people can quite often be quite closed. Well, you know, we want to make it so it's still a professional service, but it's more informal, and that people will feel more at ease with the process.
And you said that you've been doing this for 20 years. How long's Indigo Greens been going for?
We've been going since the beginning of 2018 together as Emma and myself. Prior to that, I had 2 years on my own as Greens estate agents. Emma had Indigo Lettings, so no guesses for where the name came from.
You stole the next question. I was going to say, where's the name come from? So yeah, there we go.
Honestly, we were sat at a table thinking, well, what should we call it? And then we just literally mashed the names together and went, oh, it doesn't sound too bad actually.
Yeah, excellent. So you said that there's more of a personal touch, more of an informality around how you support people. So tell me a little bit more about that. What's the journey that you take people on?
It doesn't matter what area of sales that you're in. People always talk about their unique ways of customer service and how it's an unrivaled service. I mean, we really do genuinely believe that we are different to the majority of agents and to be fair, salespeople out there. It's not about a hard sell. So we want to actually help people through the process and effectively hold your hand through it as much or as little as you want. So from the moment that you decide that you want to go on the market, we make sure that the processes are explained to you. Quite often in the past, I found that people are expected to understand the process of selling your house or buying a house or whatever it might be. So we will be with you every step of the way. And that from day one, we set up a group chat, for instance, on WhatsApp. The majority of people are out there on WhatsApp. Clearly not everybody, in which case we'll tinker the service to make sure that it suits that person. But generally, it's a WhatsApp approach so that people can come and ask questions, no matter how big or small the question may be, that they're hidden behind a screen, if you like, so they won't feel like they're going to be laughed at, so to speak.
Yeah. There's never a case where it's a silly question. It's just they don't know the answer at that point in time, and that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah,
so in terms of the actual business, then you said you primarily focus it on a geographical area within the sort of within the Ring Road and a few of the surrounding villages. Is there a sweet spot in terms of value of property, or is that a little bit more dictated by what a traditional housing stock property might look like in York?
Well, yeah. To be fair, it's a funny old answer, is that? I mean, as I said, firstly, I've been an agent for over 20 years, and I've been fortunate enough to work for agents who have dealt with a complete wide range and variety of properties out there. So I'm able to put that into practice with Indigo Greens. Preferably, we do deal with the properties that are less than kind of like 500,000-600,000. More time and attention and things for the smaller stock, and generally we find that is more our kind of part of the market. Quite often, and obviously you don't want to generalize too much, but quite often the higher echelons of the market, the clients generally do want to be dealt with a suit, and we're well aware of that. So we generally stick to more the first time, second time, third time buyer seller.
And are you, as a business, still doing the lettings and also the actual sales side of things, or have you condensed that now just into the actual sales side?
We are just on the sales side now. Our approach with us being personable, and we want to be efficient with communication, doesn't actually suit the rental market so well. You know, sometimes we felt that our niceness, if you like, was being abused a little bit, and people started, not taking it to the extremities. So the rental market didn't work for us. We find that we are much better on the sales side.
Yeah, and finding that sort of sweet spot and understanding what you're great at is half the battle. Sometimes it can be a bit of a dilution, I guess, if you end up doing things that don't really fit within your business model. So
the thing is, we actually were good at the letting side, but then and that is one place where the pandemic did actually affect not just the market, but also I think a lot of personalities and people's approach to people, let's say. So it was around about that time that we started deciding that maybe the letting side wasn't the best avenue for us.
yeah, no, absolutely. And in terms of the business, are you based out of one office? Do you have multiple offices? Do you have an office that isn't really there for footfall, or how do you operate?
So our office, we are fairly central to York. We're not in the city centre, but just on the outskirts. If anybody knows where the Barbican Centre is in York, we're just around the corner from there. It is an accessible office that, although is in a business centre, if you like, people can still come and see us. There is a car park out front, and so it does mean that if clients want to actually come physically into an office, we are there, easily accessible. At the same time, we have walked away from the situation of the traditional high street agent with a shop with the details in the windows. For a good many years, whilst I was employed, I started seeing that footfall had really fallen in terms of the numbers of people coming into each individual shops. And I just decided that when I went self-employed, I would rather have the hybrid setup whereby we are here, we're in the location, but it gives us more flexibility to actually get out and about to appointments. We can actually do more appointments by not having to fully cover a city centre shop. And actually have the flexibility of being able to switch the mobile to the landline, for instance.
Yeah.
We do just have the one office, and generally it is covered, but it's nice to have the flexibility there.
I think it's important that you do differentiate. I'm just getting a bit of an echo there. I don't know why. But yeah, differentiating between that footfall kind of model where, as you say, it's just details in a window, and actually your office becomes the extension of WhatsApp.
Yeah.
If they want to come in and have a direct chat with you, they're probably going to do that.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're probably not going to come to you to actually see what you've got in the window. They might,
No.
but chances are it's going to be on one of the other portal-based, well-known sites or whatever they might be. That I'm guessing most people find their properties on there and then find they communicate with you by coming in and saying, okay, we're interested in that property that you're representing, rather than found it through your window kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I guess the industry has changed a fair bit. So you said that you started 5-6 years ago, that you've made a bit of a shift from doing sales and lettings to just sales now. So
Yeah.
what's next? Where's the next few years going?
We do want to extend the areas that we work in now that we have not just set up but also easily consolidated our position within the York market, and we do actually want to extend into further towns, let's say. And we're not adverse to. In fact, we have sold houses the other side of Pocklington, so around the Home on Spalding Market, Wheaton areas. We are also looking at going out south towards the Selby area, and also west towards Leeds, kind of like the Tadcaster area as well. Over the past, I have dealt with properties in each of those locations, but we thought it was important, whilst we were setting up, to set a good ground base as to where we want to work from, build the brand and the reputation in that area before we started going to other places, because sometimes you can just grow too fast and actually you don't end up with a great footing, I would say.
Yeah. And in terms of the business and as an industry, then what are the biggest challenges that you face at the moment?
Obviously, we're always faced with the external factors, such as the economy, politics, and bits and pieces like that. That is, it's ongoing, and I think that has become more obvious to people over the last kind of 3 or 4 years, especially. So that is always going to be at the foresight of where we go. Obviously, we take great interest in terms of what's happening with mortgage interest rates, for argument's sake. And at the moment, things seem to be a little bit more positive there. The biggest kind of thing within a state agency, especially generally, is actually how other agents act and how people's perceptions of agency acts as well. And when I say that, it's about what you want to do is make sure that you're selling your house for the best price. Now, the best price doesn't necessarily mean that you go with the highest valuation, 20,000, 30,000 over, for instance. It's about finding the right price and marketing it in the right manner. But there's lazy estate agency out there whereby people will look at what things are sold for and think, well, actually, for me to get that listing, I need to put the higher prices on. So that is one of the biggest challenges that we need to look at, is to how do we sell ourselves best without overselling as well and over promising.
And you shaping how you interact with people. So I remember speaking to someone and they said, we pick up the properties that people can't shift. The problematic ones rather than the easy win kind of ones, and they'll put in that personal effort to ensure that someone still can sell their house, and will advise and really help them through that journey. So is that part of the model, or is it that there isn't that much need for that because the stock is moving relatively quickly anyway?
A fluid market. So to be honest, sometimes yes, it is more of a thing, and other times no, it isn't. The last 2 or 3 years coming out of COVID, the market was silly. Things there wasn't many properties that were kind of sticking around. Some houses were selling quite easily within 2 to 3 days of coming onto the market, and well, just hours. We are returning to a normal market, and so it's not going to be out of the question that things might be on the market for 4, 5, 6 months, because that is a normal market. And our part of our thing at the moment is having to re-educate people along those lines. Now, there will be some businesses out there who have forgotten how to operate under normal terms, and they might need to readjust their customer service and customer focus and communication. And so actually there's businesses out there that we can help their customers, or who would have been their customers, because actually they do need the customer support that we can provide.
Yeah. And 5 or 6 years of the business in its current iteration, 14, 15 years prior to that in the industry. Are there any lessons that you've learnt, or things that if you had your time again, you'd do slightly differently? Or have you implemented all of the learnings from the previous 15 years into current model?
Well, you'd like to think that I have, wouldn't you? Overall, I'd like to think that I would like to think that I have. There's always scope to learn. One great thing since me and Emma came back out of the COVID lockdowns, as we were still a growing business, and we still are a growing business, I suppose, but we went down the route of taking on apprentices. Of which we've still got one of our initial apprentices here working with us. But the idea as well was not just to give somebody an opportunity coming out of school who might not necessarily be academically based. I mean, I got into this when I was 14 years old through work experience, so I understand giving youth an opportunity. But at the same time, sorry, I've completely lost me track now. But at the same time, what we want to do is make sure that we're being fresh with ideas. So we always want to make sure that when we've got younger people working with us, that they do have a voice, have a say. And we always say to them, look, we might not use every idea that you come up with, but we'll certainly listen to them. I mean, a very quick example, I mean, on social media, when I do little introductory videos for properties coming on the market, because we do like a little 1-minute video that is just easily watchable, I generally sign it off with, remember, it could be yours. Well, that actually came out of a weeks-long session that we did just before the summer with some year 10 students who came and did a project with us, and they had to present their project to us at the end of the week, and that was something that came out of there. And I thought, you know what, I like that. It's short, it's snappy, and it's something to say on the video. And the idea is that at the same time, we don't want to condescend and patronize to them. We want to show them that actually they're bringing value to the sessions, and that we have listened and taken on board.
I think it's great advice, forgetting, estate agency and just generally across business in terms of a bit of advice for people starting out, is embrace other people's ideas. If you've already got all the answers, then you've already lost, in my mind.
Don't be too proud. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the irony of the person walking into the room who believes they are the smartest person in the room, by definition isn't.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, when there's been times, I mean, even with me and Emma, there's been times where, for instance, she might be vocalizing an idea, and there are times where I want to sit there and go, no, not all. But then you open your mind and you think, well, actually, yes, when you look at it from a different point of view, and you find that you have to look at these things, otherwise you can't evolve, can you?
I was going to say, certainly with the new technology, and WhatsApp isn't necessarily new technology, but it's changing all the time in terms of how we interact. And if we haven't embraced things like that, and I get my 14-year-old son to do some social media marketing for my business, because he can, I can't. I'm at least 30 something years plus a bit. And I'm too old to really embrace that as the technology, but doesn't mean it's not a great modus operandi to interface with people on a more regular basis. So it's gathering that information. So in terms of the sort of plan moving forward, then you said it is a growing business, it continues to grow. You're looking geographically. Are there any other aspects of the business, any other additional services other than just the expansion of the geography that you're considering bringing in over the next few years?
It's one of them things. At the moment, no, there isn't something that I can say, oh, actually, specifically we are doing that. I mean, I personally have a connection with Tenerife, and I've recently set up like a little referral agreement with an agent over in Tenerife, whereby we can not just share properties with each other, but experiences and things like that. So that might be something that we look into on a broader spectrum, and properties abroad maybe. I don't know. That's not off the table. But at the same time, what we want to really do is actually focus on making what we've got better. So yes, geographically we want to make it look a bit bigger, but we know that there's still things that we can maybe tighten up on to help us here in the here and now, and that's more of our prime focus rather than thinking, well, actually, how many more strings can we add to the bow?
It's very interesting. Obviously, the last few years has been the introduction of, fee-free selling, and you, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for often, but justifying why people will still engage with yourselves, creating that journey, that experience, and from a consumer point of view, if there's any ways of taking what historically is regarded as one of the most stressful things in your life and actually going, this should be one of the most exciting things in your life.
Exactly.
If you can do that, then everyone else is going to be happy. They'll be on the journey with you.
So do you know what? From day one, so we do use a professional photographer, and I think that's imperative. But professional photographer doesn't mean just getting the widest angle lens that's out there, and making a room look abnormally big. So the amount of times that we turn up and do viewings at properties with potential buyers, and they say, "Oh, this is kind of what I was expecting." I mean, how bizarre is that? How bizarre is that? That people actually turn up and you are selling them what they are expecting, and that's because years gone by and still now, houses are promoted to look bigger than they actually are. Well, you've just said about it being a positive experience. So from that first moment of looking at a house, that's how you start managing expectations. You give people exactly what it is that they are expecting to look at, and all of a sudden they're on a positive. The negatives start from the moment they turn up, and they do think that they want to buy that house, but they're going with the mindset that actually it won't be as good as it looks on the brochure. How bizarre. It's your biggest asset, and you're already starting off thinking negatively. It makes no sense at all.
It's where it's got to at the end of the day, hasn't it? That clever pictures, clever marketing, and actually it's creating false expectations.
Well, it does. But then if you go delve deeper into the psychology of it, if you then so you're interested in that 3-bedroom semi-house, and already you're wanting to go down and view it, yeah, you're excited, but you know it's not going to be as big as you're expecting. That garden's not going to be as big, that kitchen's not going to be as big. So automatically you're thinking, oh, 300,000 for that? I'm not paying 300,000 for that. I'll only be offering them 280,000. But actually you go in and you go, oh, wow, yeah, ultimately you might end up justifying to yourself that you're going to pay more, but you'll do it more happily because you are getting the space that you were thinking of. So, already, even from that aspect, it is a positive. It's a positive for the owner, it's a positive for the buyer, and they know actually that they're going to buy something that they can resell later on down the line.
I think it's important. We're approaching the end of the interview, actually, but I think it's very important to align that to you are trying to be slightly different. You're trying to overcome these stigmas and stereotypes of a staid estate agent that is, suited and booted, and it's about a sales kind of thing rather than, hey, look, we're personable. We're here on the journey with you, and if it's right for you, it'll happen. If it's not right for you, we're not going to push it. We're going to show you other things that do fit in and give you that whole experience so it's enjoyable. So
exactly. And just one last point on that is that we've actually got clients who will attest to this, is that if we feel that a buyer isn't necessarily the best option for that property because, for instance, they might only be wanting to move there for location, but the house might need a bit too much work for them. They don't understand what it is that they're going to be taking on, and that the next thing that comes up in 2 weeks' time, they're just going to jump ship. I will tell that our client that I don't think these are the right people for it. There's a red flag here. There's certain things that have come up. We say that to the buyers as well, is if it's not right for you, don't buy it. I don't need to force people into buying places. We want to find the right people.
But it's the only way you can avoid any form of buyer's or seller's remorse at the end of the day. You know, I mean, it's just getting it right from the first instance. So that does bring us towards the end. Just a very quick sort of sense check. Is there anything we've not covered? Anything that you'd like to add, Simon? Or
I think for today's interview, that's probably as much as people will be able to take from me. I think if you want an estate agency masterclass of 5 hours, then I can bore you.
Absolutely. So, well, really, really big thanks to Simon for sharing. It's great to hear about the journey with himself, with Emma, with Indigo Greens, and also what the future is holding. So, if you're watching this and you're thinking, yeah, I'd like to showcase my own business, I'd like to get more people understanding what we do and actually figuring out that we exist and that we are actually here and we're open for business, then just simply get in touch. When we post the videos, there'll always be instructions of how to get in touch, and I'd be more than happy to book something in and record another of the interviews for someone else. So does bring us right to the close. Once again, big thank you to Simon. Thank you for joining us. And also thank you for everyone else who's been watching another of our Business Spotlight interviews. We'll see you soon. Keep smiling. Take care.